reputation is everything. The way people perceive you and your business is key. So if you want a better business, if you want a better career, you need to spend some time thinking about how to ensure you stand out. Trust, reputation, and integrity are, in my opinion, a key success principles, right? But I have found they are oftentimes overlooked. So today, our standout guest, Daniella Rocalis, is an accomplished recruitment agency owner with a proven track record in the hospitality and food service industry, specializing in the luxury market. Okay, so she has been recognized as Toronto's #1 recruitment agency in both 2022, 2021 by Top Recruiter. So here I can tell you consistency is key, right? And during our conversation, Daniela will share how she has built a reputation for excellence in her field. So please help me welcome Daniela to the show. Hello, Daniela. How are you doing?
Hi, Darine. Thank you. I'm great. Very excited for the podcast.
Thank you. And I'm very excited to learn more about you. And, especially as a young woman leader evolving in the luxury market. The luxury market is a specific market where excellence is key. So we are going to talk about it. But before, let's discover a little bit more about you. In your few words, if I ask you who is Daniela, what would you answer?
In a few words. So I think I would answer I'm a passionate entrepreneur with a very strong and curious entrepreneurial spirit. I'm also a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, and a friend, and a big hospitality enthusiast as well.
Yes, we can say that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it. So, when looking at your profile, I can see that you have always evolved either in the hospitality and food service industry or in the recruitment field. And then I believe at some point in your career, you decided to mix both, right? And by creating your own agency. So, can you tell us more about the thought process for coming with the idea that, okay, I'm passionate about this as well, let's combine the two and create my own environment.
Absolutely. So, DC Global Talent was really something that happened organically. I went to school for HR, and my earlier career was always in HR, and then it took a focus in recruitment. And what I loved about recruitment is it combined business, which was something I've always been passionate about, but with human connection. And another thing that I've always been very passionate about in connecting with people. So when DC Global happened, I was actually living in the Cayman Islands. I fell in love with the Caribbean. I had previously traveled to resorts in Dominican, Mexico, similar to most people in North America. And then living in an island like Cayman really just opened my eyes. And that was the first time that I was working outside of HR in a sales capacity. And I was actually a sales rep for beverage distribution company selling spirits and wine to hotels and restaurants. And that's really when the idea of DC Global Talent happened. I was being approached by my clients and my accounts about opportunities in their establishments when they had openings for either a pastry chef or a front of house manager, or they needed a new server, bartender. And it really grew organically from there. And it since has exposed me to many different islands and businesses. But that was the catalyst, really.
So you mentioned that you were an entrepreneur at heart, and I'm wondering, is that something that you always envisioned for yourself? Okay, I'm gonna build a career, I'm gonna gain experience, and when the time will come, I will launch my business, not knowing what the business will be about. Or entrepreneurship wasn't something that was part of the narrative growing up.
To be honest, I didn't grow up knowing I was going to be an entrepreneur, but I was always very curious about business and how businesses operated, how they generated revenue, what their processes were. And that was something that always intrigued me. But when I started DC Global Talent, it did feel very organic and it felt very true to who I was and my brand, and loving hospitality, loving travel. and loving human connection. So I can't say that I knew this would happen, but I am very happy that it did.
Would you say that it was your calling?
Honestly, yes, I do think it was my calling. I have had some great work opportunities in the past. I've worked with some good leaders and some not so great leaders, but I think that all of those experiences have shaped who I am today as a leader myself, and a business owner. And yeah, I mean, well, the most rewarding part of my job is having a team. And then, in addition to that, and an extension to that, providing really wonderful people with great opportunities. And it's very rewarding. And I do feel like that now is my calling, and establishing more relationships with great employers and properties, which turn into opportunities that we could also share with our network. That continues to grow daily. And it's incredible.
What would you say is one of the biggest insecurities that you had growing up, and that you feel like becoming an entrepreneur has allowed you to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think not really knowing the direction, I think that having chosen HR early on was definitely an advantage, but I was really stuck in recruitment, and I was a great recruiter, but I wanted to do a lot more than that. I wanted to be involved in the account management side, the business development side, and oddly enough, I was very insecure about business development when I first started working as an employee. And now it's where I thrive the most. And it did take, time and through trial and error. But I think getting started as a business owner, one of my insecurities were, well, why would someone work with me? Like, who am I? Who's DC Global Talent? There's, many established recruitment agencies out there, but you just persevere. And honestly, when you throw yourself into something and the vision is so vivid and clear, like I knew what I wanted to do, I knew what I wanted DC Global Talent to become long before DC Global Talent was working with, the hotels we work with today. Those are brands that I dreamed of working with, but I knew that somehow I would make it happen. It didn't happen overnight. Um, but it definitely was, every time picking up the phone or getting on a Zoom call or a meeting, there was definitely a sense of, um, imposter syndrome. And
Mhm.
that goes away after you get some successes.
It speaks to the fact and to the importance of going out of your comfort zone. Because oftentimes, myself and a lot of us, right? Not to say all of us, we feel like because we have experienced something and that we felt some discomfort or we didn't like it, right? I feel like as a society, and especially the fast paced environment we live in, people don't give enough time to trying one thing to eventually or potentially discover that this can be their strengths or their zone of genius, right? And when you share your example, I think it speaks to the fact that, okay, you did something that you really didn't like to do at the beginning. Maybe, you stick to it. And by learning and doing and, learning, failing, succeeding, finally you realize that, oh, but hold on a minute. This is my strength, and this is an area actually where I can excel. But because you give enough time to the fact that I'm not comfortable, but I will try anyway.
Absolutely. I agree. And, some people ask, well, how did we, DC Global Talent become what it is today? I mean, we have a team of 6 full-time employees, and we're working with some of the leading hotels of the world. But it was definitely through maybe not knowing exactly how to do it, but figuring it out as I went and keeping it always top of mind, top service, that I'm going to provide to my clients, being honest, having integrity, and not taking on more than I couldn't handle. And
Mhm.
that happened for a few years actually, because it was just me for 3 or 4 years. I was the only one in the business. So I was doing not only business development, client management, but I was doing recruitment, negotiations, offers. all of the financials as well, the invoicing. So I think that strengthened me as an entrepreneur when you are involved in every aspect, where today that operation looks completely different, and I'm able to step back from the recruitment and that day to day to really be at the strategic level and excel in the business development and client relationships, which is really where I want to stay, because that's how we build our business. And I'm fortunate to have a really strong team that I can pass on these roles to, and who can take it to the finish line.
So you're evolving in the luxury market. Was it an evidence for you, like specializing in the luxury market? Because the food and service industry, hospitality and food industry is kind of vague and large, right? So what attracted you to the luxury industry in particular?
So I think the luxury market, when we first started, we got a really great pre-opening opportunity to work with a Forbes 5-star property, which till today we still work with. It's been 6 years later, they're still our clients. And because these type of properties look for candidates who have a similar background, who have experience providing the same level of service. I mean, if you're charging, over $1,000 a night, that clientele or guest expects a certain level of service. And so someone who has experience working at those type of properties will be an easy transition. And it just happened that as we were working with this property, the people applying or that we were speaking with and putting into consideration also came from those properties. And then it really organically happened that way. But it is a market that we love to be in, and that really does make us niche, because not only did we start primarily being Caribbean focused, we were working with very remote islands that don't necessarily have all-inclusive properties, or any other type of property that isn't in the luxury space. And these are remote destinations like Grenada, Anguilla, St. Lucia, Cayman, Turks, Bahamas. They're traditionally known for having a more upscale luxury product and service. So I'm very happy that that's how it happened, and it's where we focus. Definitely, we don't do work with anything that would be less than a 4-star. And we like to do it this way. I think there's room for other companies to come in and work with those properties, but it's just not our focus.
Okay. So you said it, like the luxury market is a niche market with a high barrier to entry, right? Where excellence is the rule, especially working with 4 or 5 star hotel. And the topic today is about, how to build a reputation of excellence, so for yourself and for your business. So can you tell us a little bit more about the mental process, and the execution process when going on and focusing in the luxury market, or not even luxury market, but focusing in the idea that you want to build a reputation of excellence for yourself and for your business, so you attract the better clients and you attract also the better candidates for your recruitment. So what's the mental process and the execution process about, okay, excellence is what I'm targeting, and this is what I need to maintain in order to maintain my business?
Absolutely. So I think staying focused on working with these type of properties has been key. So, and an example is we work with Four Seasons, the Mandarin Oriental. So I'm not going to work with these properties and then go and work with a Courtyard. We keep it within the same segment, and that is strategic. But what I think also has really allowed us to bring on these properties and have long-term partnerships with them, which has always been very important to me, is that we don't take on more than we can handle. And when I first started back in 2016, 2017, I was only taking on enough work that I knew I could deliver. And because I believe strongly that, we have one chance, an opportunity to prove our level of service, or, to leave a good impression. And so for me, it wasn't about the quantity, it was really the quality of work that we were doing and that we were really able to deliver to our clients. And then this allowed us to earn the reputation and the trust, which, and then in return, grew to referrals and repeat business. So I think a mistake that some entrepreneurials do is they take on every job because,
Mhm.
sometimes we come from a place of scarcity and we're scared if we don't take it, that it might not come again. But whereas, with me, I was very um, thoughtful about what jobs I was going to take. Do they align with our brand, with our company ethos, with the current clients that we're working with? And can we really deliver on this position? And can we deliver it with quality and time efficiency, et cetera? So these were all considerations that I put in. Today, we're fortunate where we take on a lot more than we used to, and that's because we have the capacity and the team to deliver so. And this all was really a ripple effect from the earlier years where maybe we had 10 or 20 positions at a time, and now we're looking at between 50 to 70 positions at a time.
Mhm. I feel like you took the time to grow. And I
Yes.
think it's very important because today's, as I said earlier, we are in a fast-paced environment where it's about going on the go, on the go, on the go, and achieving more and more and more and growing, growing, growing. And especially, I feel like social media has glamorized, the what entrepreneurship looks like. When actually, when you are a real entrepreneur, you know that this is not that glamorous at the beginning. um, but I feel like despite all what we hear and all the trends in our society, you were in your bubble and you decided to focus and took the time to grow. So you did it well. Maybe you could have achieved what you have achieved within 6 years, maybe in 3 years, but that wouldn't have been the same level of quality.
Yes, that I agree 100%. Also, there did become a point where I had to decide, um, how big do I want to become? Is it just always going to be me? And, it was still a viable business, but it was really just me. Or do I want to scale? And when I considered, okay, well, what does it take to scale? Because at that point, we had built a reputation to in the industry, in our niche, in our market, which was Caribbean and luxury hospitality. But I was almost got to the point where I'm turning down jobs now, which I also
Mhm.
didn't want to do. So that's when I started building my team. And that was a big risk. I think that many entrepreneurs kind of get to this crossroads and what do you do now? So I did invest in tools, processes, systems, and a strong team, and that all turned out to be a really great decision. But it was scary at first, for sure, because now you're responsible for other people, and you never want to take on more than you can chew, and you want to ensure that you have a
Mhm.
healthy pipeline to keep these people employed as well, which is very important for me.
Exactly. A healthy pipeline. I think this is key. This is really the key here, a healthy pipeline. So we have a couple of questions here, actually from our friend Robert, who asked. So it's a little bit out of curiosity, I would say. What is the most luxurious amenity you have seen in your field?
Great question. And I just so happen to be staying at the Equinox Hotel in New York City right now. And I'm blown away by the property. It's the first ever Equinox Hotel. And Equinox is traditionally a fitness studio. So, this property here, what I thought was really unique is they actually provide you with fitness clothes. So,
Oh.
if you forget your gym clothes, they provide it to you, which is incredible. They've thought of everything. When you look in their amenities drawers, they have every supplement you can think of. It's very much geared towards health, of course. So supplements, proteins, every beauty spa, like face masks in here, all within the comfort of your own hotel room. And then to go beyond that, they actually provide an option to take a helicopter from the airport in New York, which gives the guests the experience of having that tour of New York. If you've never been in a helicopter, and New York City is obviously known for their high-rise buildings, and it's quite an experience. I had never been in a helicopter before, so we did do this. This was yesterday. We landed in New York, and then from New York to Manhattan, we took a helicopter. It was 5 minutes, and we got a tour, from a helicopter, which was incredible. And then a driver picks you up. So I mean, that's the most recent luxury experience I can think of because it happened less than
Yesterday.
24 hours ago, literally. But I think luxury is really changing today. It's There's a lot of contactless experiences now as well that hotels are providing. You don't have to traditionally wait anymore at a front desk to check in. Someone will meet you in the lobby, give you a tour, and that experience could be luxury as well, because now you're getting that firsthand tour from someone who works at the property. There's so many different things now that hotels are doing, and it really depends on what they're rooted in, what their ethos are. If it's around wellness and farm to table, they might have their own garden on property and growing their own herbs, and for someone who really values that, that would be luxurious to them. Now, I love the spa and fitness, so for me, it's like, what are your amenities in the spa? What are your services? That I thought was pretty cool. So I hope that answers your question, Robert.
Oh, he does. He said, wait, new clothes and a helicopter ride. Like, heck, yes, yes, exactly. And he has a follow up question. But before going to his follow up question, here I can make the parallel and I can see the parallel with, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, or, building your career as an individual. Here, when you look at the luxury industry, what makes it luxurious, it's not the price point, it's the experience, right? And
Absolutely.
how they will
Yeah.
go above and beyond anything else. So your experience is unique and so you feel special. And I feel like we can clearly duplicate this model into what we do. So maybe not, paying an helicopter tour for your clients, but like ensuring that the experience that you offer to your client makes them feel special. And I strongly believe this is how you build a reputation of excellence, when you go above and beyond what is expected. The same way when building a career, if you're not interested in entrepreneurship, how do you position yourself and how do you deliver your work in a way that is creating experiences that the people around you feel, oh wow, I love working with this person. So there is a lot of parallel that I can see here between the luxury market and industry and what we can duplicate at our level, right, to ensure that we build a reputation of excellence.
Yes, and I have a great example. When I first started working, my first corporate job was at KPMG, one of the top four, and I was only an HR operations administrator, so it was a very junior position right out of school. And one of the ways that I demonstrated that I wanted to grow my career, this is long before I was an entrepreneur, was they had what was called KPMG University. So this was free for any employee to take. There was a multitude of courses you can take on any really topic, and showing that registering for these courses and showing the initiative would position you in a way that differentiates you between some of your peers, because it shows that you're invested, that you're curious, you want to learn, you want to grow.
Mhm.
And these are really simple, easy ways that don't only benefit you in the sense that you may get a promotion or be recognized earlier than someone else, but you're learning. And I think that's what's also kept this business growing as an entrepreneur, is that I'm continuously learning and investing in myself, whether that's through reading books or we do a lot of conferences. We recently just came back from a conference in Cartagena, Colombia. We were just there a couple weeks ago. And these conferences are not free. You're there with decision makers, with very senior hospitality professionals. But I've always made the executive decision to go to 2 or 3 per year, to show these industry leaders that I am invested in this industry. I am here to learn the new trends, learn what are the challenges, so I can be staying, ahead of the curve as well, and be positioning our business as a leading hospitality recruitment partner. Also, we
Mhm.
don't even like to say clients, because we want to work in partnership, and every relationship that we engage in on the client side, we consider a partnership, and we hope to have as a long-term engagement, which all comes back to providing that high level service, so they are wanting to use our services again.
Excellent. We have a question here from Catherine De Leon, who asked, how do you maintain emotional intelligence with candidates and partners, let's say client partners?
Yeah, great question. Catherine's actually on our team, and she is an incredible recruiter on the team. She specializes in culinary. So what we do is we treat everyone as humans, even if they are, on the client side or the candidate side. We try and find ways to connect with our candidates and clients, so it doesn't feel so transactional. And we do this by getting on video calls similar to this. I mean, putting a face to a name, having the eye contact, even if it's not in person, just goes so far. Sharing smiles, asking our candidates about their career trajectory, and really being curious about them brings out their um, their vulnerability as well to share that with us. And then that creates this long lasting
Mhm.
relationship where maybe the position we have for you right now isn't the right one due to either the location, or you have children and the education isn't that great in the location that we're currently recruiting for. But because we've built a relationship that was more than just transactional, this person will come back to us in a year or two when they are ready to explore an opportunity that may be the right fit for them then. So, and this happens a lot. I mean, we have placed same candidates more than once. We've placed them somewhere, they've worked for 2 or 3 years. Now they're ready to explore another opportunity. They come back to us, and they do this because we care, and it's one of our core values as well, is that we care about people, we care about our clients, and we care about our candidates.
Yeah, like caring is the essential, and I feel like, again, this is a notion that is overlooked too many times, unfortunately. But caring, genuinely caring about people, the people you work with, the people you partner with, and the people you serve, it is very important, because at the end of the day, if we are going out of business for one reason, or if you are losing a partner for another reason, but you keep the relationship, and that can open up to even better opportunities, right? So emotional intelligence and keeping those relationships close is very important. We have more questions in the chat, but by a lack of time, we won't be able to address it during the conversation, but we will ensure that we respond to all the questions in the comment directly. One last question that I would like to ask you, Daniela, is what is the mark you would like to leave behind?
The mark I would love to leave behind, I think for me, is just being really someone who can inspire to, or who I aspire to inspire people, really is what I do, especially women. I mean, our team is all women, and I'm all about women
Mhm.
empowerment. I mean, of course, I'm not biased. I love men as well. I'm married, I have brothers. My father's great. But for me, it's really giving women an example of someone who really, I've come from a very humble beginning. I don't have an MBA or a PhD, but I believe that if you want something and you want it and you work hard enough, you can achieve it. And things don't happen overnight. But if I could be used as, an example to inspire either my team or my peers or my network, I think that's really important to me. And to just come from a place of integrity and honesty, um, and that you can have a really fun life, like just have fun and love what you do. I don't think anyone should do anything that they don't love. There are other options out there, and yeah, if I can leave something behind, is just to lead with love and to do what you enjoy doing.
Yes, and thank you for sharing your story on the Stand Out from the Crowd podcast. This podcast was also created, to give a voice to women's stories, right? So we can inspire more women and the youngest women to step up for themselves and, become the leaders they were meant to be. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of who you are with us today, Daniela. This is well appreciated. For those of you watching the live, the replay, or listening to us, I will see you next week for another episode of Stand Out from the Crowd. You take care, you stay safe. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.